Well, I'm here with Matt Workinger from Rohr's Nursery, and you may recognize Matt's voice.
Yeah, a little bit from the show.
Every single Thursday morning from 9 to 10 on WHBC. And, you know, Matt, every Thursday when folks call in, one of the most popular things they ask about roses.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of different types of roses, and we're going to talk about these roses and which ones may be the best for you guys to use at your homes and why each one would be different than the other. And so we're going to talk about the different types of roses first. We've got more of a long stem cutting rose. Those would be called like a hybrid tea rose. Those long stem cutting roses, you can see the leaf is much larger on the long stem rose than some of the shrub roses that we'll talk about in a little bit. These require a little bit more effort and a little bit more work than the shrub rose styles. But the advantage to these is they can be cut, brought inside, put into the vase. Their flowers much larger and they're very fragrant. You lose a lot of the fragrance when they breed these plants down to become more small and compact and more disease and insect resistant. So having like grandma's old-fashioned rose garden, there was a lot of work that went into that rose garden. It did not happen on accident. These roses, you're basically going to commit to a once-a-week spraying and a once-a-week fertilizing to get those roses to perform like you want them to perform and to have those beautiful plants growing in your garden. The shrub roses generally require significantly less work. Now, this rose that we have in here is almost past its bloom cycle. You've got one beautiful bloom, and then a lot of these other ones are almost done. And we're going to talk about how to trim these plants. This is a shrub rose, and it's kind of gotten leggy on us, and we're going to talk today about how to trim that. When we're done, we should have a nice compact plant like that over there. Those are good compact shrub roses. So let's start with the harder one. So on these guys here, there's two sets of leaves. See how the bloom head is here. You come down and the first set of leaves only has 3 leaves. The second set has 5. Wherever there's a 5 leaf set, that's where that next new growth is going to come out of, and it'll come up and produce a flower head. The 3 leaf generally does not produce growth out of that area there. So when we trim this, we want to take our pruners, and we want to cut down about a 1/4 inch in front of that, and that's where that new growth will come up. That new growth will come up very quickly if you're using fertilizer on it. And the one thing with roses is they're always hungry. They're like my lab at home. It could eat all day long. Roses are the same way. If they stop blooming, almost always they are hungry. So this one here, the very first, there is no 3 leaf on this one here. So we just trim it down to here, and that's a 5th leaf. Now, if you wanted to compact the plant, the next leaf set down is also a 5 leaf. We could trim that back, and it'll tighten the plant back up. Using a pair of pruners, good sharp pruners, is the best way to trim these old-fashioned or long stem cutting roses. So let's turn this plant here a little bit. See how we got a single leaf, and then a set of 3, and then we've got a set of 5 down here. So we trim right in front of that set of 5. Within a week of fertilizing, you can see there's new growth coming back out of here already. Generally with a rose, the new growth is going to have like a red tinge to the new growth. And so this bloom's almost done. We're going to trim back right next to where that new growth is coming out, leave about a 1/4 inch, and then this new growth, and you can see this new growth has been out for about a week already. It came from down inside, and it's already producing a bloom head. So if we give these plants plenty of food, they will grow really, really fast and keep blooming over and over again.
So if I'm cutting this off as a stem that I want to take it in and put it in a vase, where would I cut it?
So I would take this old bloom head off here, and then I would trim this down. Now, you can go as low or as high as you want. You can trim it down to there and snip off the other 5 leaves, and there's your long stem rose. There you go.
Thanks, Matt. See?
And that's got a really good fragrance to those style roses, but these roses do require sometimes a little bit more work.
It has thorns on it too, by the way.
Yeah, roses are thorny. Don't get the flowers without the thorns. So here's a 3 leaf, a single leaf, and then the first 5th leaf is further down the stem. We're going to trim back to that first 5th leaf. We tightened that plant up quite a bit, and now that new growth, there's some new growth already coming on it. Where we trimmed, there will be more new growth that comes back, and that plant will fill out and start blooming again within a week or so. So what do we feed it with to make it bloom again? There's a lot of different options. When we plant the plants, We recommend using this. It's a granular, slow release. It's actually what the growers use in the production process to grow these roses before they ship them to us. It is a 6-month slow release. So every time it rains, this gives the plant a little bit more food. It's kind of like an IV for plants, always giving it a little bit of energy. But we talked about how roses are such heavy feeders. This product here is called Bloom Booster. So it's got a 10, 30, 10. The middle number is what's responsible for making the plant root and bloom. By using this type of fertilizer, now this is a granular, or sorry, a powder that you actually mix with liquid. You take a scoop, you add it to a gallon of water, and when you water your roses, you can fertilize. You can use these two products together without having any issue as far as over-fertilizing the plant. There's almost no such thing with a rose. If you use the wrong type of fertilizer, you could potentially burn the plant, but those two used in conjunction would not hurt the plant one bit. It's actually how the growers and how we keep our roses so nice here at the nursery. For the organic people that are out there, there is a liquid and a granular organic. Now with the organics, they don't last as long. So you're going to do this liquid once a week, and the granular when you plant it, or once a year in the spring. This granular only lasts for about 4 weeks, so you'll do it more like once a month. And this liquid also lasts for 1 week, so you would do it once a week. So there's non-organic and organic options if you wanted to take care of the flowers in your flower beds in a strictly organic matter.
What kind of conditions do roses have to have?
That is a great question. So roses like full sun. 4 hours would be probably the minimum you would want to put a rose in. If you get it in less than 4 hours, the moisture lays on the leaf, it encourages fungus to grow, and it needs that hot, intense sun to really produce those flowers. The more intense and hot the sun is, as long as it's getting the water and fertilizer it needs, the better it's going to produce and bloom for you. So having those planted in a full sun area is very important. If you're like me or a lot of other working people where we don't have a lot of time, but we want to have the beautiful roses to be able to enjoy, then shrub roses are a much better choice for you. These two here are called knockout roses. This is a double red. This is a double pink. What the word or terminology double actually means there's multiple layers of petals coming around instead of like this is just a single flower. It's just one flat layer of petals. So the doubles are really popular because they hold their color a little bit longer and have much more intense color because of the multiple layers of petals. This one here is called a drift rose, and as we said earlier, it's gotten a little gangly on us, so we're going to try to trim this back and tighten this plant up. This here is a drift rose. It's been trimmed about a week ago. It's already set a ton of flower buds all over the surface, so it's in that process. About a week after the trim, if you fertilized it, it will flower again really, really well. And there are a lot of different colors, not just these colors. We have a peach and an apricot, and there's a double pink, a single pink. So there's a lot of really good options in the shrub roses. These knockout roses here are going to get in that 4 to 5 foot range, so they're a bigger shrub rose. The drift roses with the smaller leaves on them yet, those guys stay much more compact. You're looking at more 2 to 3 foot by 2 to 3 foot, and if you trim them, you could even keep them smaller than that. So they fit. You want a plant that's going to fit the area. You don't want to put a 4-foot plant and try to keep it trimmed to 18 inches tall. You want to make sure you're matching the plant to the area that you want it to grow into the right size. So let's take a look at these shrub roses. Shrub roses are much more forgiving on how you prune them. Like the long stem rose, there was a very, very specific way to prune them. The shrub rose, you're just looking at the body of the plant and you're trimming these plants back to tighten them up a little bit. So this is going to get a lot less pretty as we take a lot of this foliage off. But we're looking at what we want to have happen. See, these guys are almost to the point where they're done. It takes almost no pressure to pull these petals off. So we're going to tighten this guy up. And we're taking a significant amount of that plant off. Get rid of it there.
Wow.
And we're tightening it up. We're taking almost probably 1/3 of that plant off. And it's much less... you can see I'm even cutting multiple stems at the same time.
And you're right, a lot easier care.
Much easier care on this guy. Go through here pretty quickly. Almost like
don't fear the pruner.
Almost like you're cutting hair, because we're going to fertilize these guys and they're going to come back with such a vengeance. In a week, they will be loaded with blooms and then flower again for another 3 to 4 week period before they require a prune. So
this would scare the heck out of some people.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, it would scare the heck.
Now, after we do this kind of we call this a very aggressive pruning, because remember, that plant was almost 3 foot wide when we started.
It's very aggressive, Matt.
Now, if you look at this drift rose here, let's slide this one out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
See how there's about 6 inches of growth past where we're at here?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, this was trimmed like this, or 7 to 10 days ago, it was trimmed like this, and that flush of new growth came up and set buds all over the plant.
Wow.
So you can be much more aggressive in your pruning style with the shrub roses, and which is also one of the reasons they say so tight and so compact.
Yeah.
The knockout roses would be trimmed in a similar fashion to the drift roses. Let's take that one down.
These are beautiful. These are so pretty.
The knockout roses are very, very nice. And if you notice, like the old-fashioned rose, I'm going to pull this up here and show you again, the leaf size in comparison. So go ahead and cut some of these off. You have your old-fashioned rose, then you have your knockout rose, and then you have your drift rose. So significant difference in your leaf size. And if you notice too, a lot of times on the drift roses, you'll see a little sheen to the leaf where it's shiny a little bit. That characteristic helps prevent fungus from getting on the foliage. Now, that being said, roses, because they're heavy feeders and because we're trimming on them and stressing them when we do the trimming because we want to see those flowers happen again, we do recommend spraying a chemical to control your insects and diseases on it. I have 3 of these knockout roses at my house. They're on the south side of my house. They get plenty of bright, hot sun. I'm not home a lot because I'm working, but when I do, when the roses flush their foliage out very first thing in the spring, I spray this plant down, and you don't have to super soak it. You just need to mist the foliage, let the foliage be moist, and you generally want to spray in the evening hours. In the evening hours, the pores of the plant's leaf will open up and drink that solution in, and it's got a systemic insecticide, a contact insecticide, and a fungicide. So you're protecting the plant from 3 different avenues of problems. Most of the time, with the plant material we sell, I recommend treating only when there's a problem. Roses are one of the exceptions to that rule that I have, where I want to pre-treat. I want to prevent a problem from ever happening because I want them to be beautiful all the time no matter what. It only takes me, I can walk with my cup of coffee and mist this on my plants, and it only takes me a minute or 2, and I do it about once every 2 weeks. So it doesn't require, this bottle would last for my 3 roses for sure, probably 1 to 2 seasons. And as we get into the heat of summer, sometimes it's less of an issue. They also make, for the people that don't want to spray, a liquid that you mix with water and actually just dump it on the root system. And the plant's roots will draw up the chemical and protect the plant from the inside out. So there's a couple different options on which one to use, but we talk about 3-in-1 on the radio show all the time.
Yes, we do.
This is that 3-in-1. So we're using this. You would use this on anything you're not going to eat. Because it's got a systemic insecticide that flows through the sap system of the plant, you wouldn't want to use it on vegetables or blueberries or blackberries or raspberries or anything you're going to consume. But on your ornamental flowering plants around your house, it is a very broad spectrum treatment to help protect it from a lot of different insects and diseases. So we're hoping that through this seminar you learned a little bit about how to prune and care for your roses. If you ever have any questions, you can call into the radio show on Thursday morning, Let's Grow Together, from 9 to 10 o'clock. And if you ever have any other questions, you can always contact either one of our 2 nursery locations.
We should also ask, though, what about those people who want to know what do they do for when animals come after their roses? That was the one question we didn't get to.
That is a good question. So there is a product, I don't have it out here with me today, it's called Repelzol. It's a granular, and there is also a liquid version. You can spray it on the plants, or the granular you would shake on the ground around the plants. I like the granular because it's got a little longer lasting stay power. It's less affected by the rain, but the more times it rains, the more often that product does have to be reapplied. But it irritates the nose and the eyes of the deer, so it's not It's not going to hurt the deer, but it's going to keep the deer out of that area. And deer are a serious problem with some of the plants that we grow around our houses. So the best way is to put that deterrent down, and it just keeps them away from those areas.
Like Parmesan cheese smells.
A little
with
bit,
pepper
yeah.
And something
But it's not enough that unless you're down really close to it, it doesn't bother the human nose like it would the deers or the dogs or cats or rabbits or anything you want to keep out of your flower beds. It's very broad spectrum on what you can use it for.
All right. Well, like Matt said, let's grow together, 9 to 10 on WHBC, and he'll answer all your questions there too.